a lot has happened in the last 6 months around the world, but also like kind of personally. And it's just, it's going day by day, bird by bird, as you say, and Lamont, shout out.
Yes, you guys, if you don't know, wait, can I give a pause for that? Little commercial for Anne Lamott. If you guys don't know Anne Lamott, she's one of my favorite authors. It's ANNELAMOTT. And she has a book, one of the most seminal books on writing called Bird by Bird. Like if you go to a creative writing program anywhere in the country, you'll end up reading this book. And so since there was so much writing inside of Agent Goals, I'm always saying bird by bird, just go bird by bird. So I just want to have a shout out for Anne Lamott. Maybe she's listening. Well, I hope she's a shout out. All right, yes. Okay, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, can't complain.
Good.
My fiance and I had to postpone a wedding, but like over it, like we're fine. It's cool.
Okay.
A lot of worse things have happened around the world. So I think we're okay.
Good. Okay. I'm glad to hear it. And I understand that postponing. I officiated a wedding on Sunday, actually. Summer's wedding, who you know. And she said, I'm just ready to be his wife already. I don't want to wait anymore. I'm like, I can't. And so she'll do a real thing with a bigger group, I think, at some point too.
Yeah.
So let's jump in. So first, let's just share your results. Tell me the story of how you landed this manager.
Yeah, sure. So we finished the course. I was pretty consistent, I think, about like the homework and doing all that. And then we finished mid-June, and then July, I was just kind of in this weird place of, is the industry dead? Like, is it worth reaching out? And it came to a point a few weeks ago where I was like, you know what? Screw it. Like, life is still happening. I am seeing in Deadline and Hollywood Reporter, things are slowly starting to pick back up. And just in the spirit of continuing the momentum that we had in the class and my personal gung-ho-ness, I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna go for it. So 2 weeks ago, I started doing the emails, and I actually got a response pretty quickly where I emailed a manager at this company, and her roster was full, but she wrote back to me saying, my roster's full, but I'm sending it over to another manager at the company. And
wait, shut up. She saw your email. She does not know you. She loved your material enough to say, I'm going to refer you to another manager.
At the same
company.
She was just like, yeah, exactly. She was like, my roster's full, but I'm forwarding you to Joe's inbox. So expect an email. And then like minutes later, I get an email from the other manager who even complimented the email. Like, so, and this is one of the first, like very few, it's hard to get a lot of responses. Like, as people will find out, it takes a lot to get some sort of response. But he was like, off the bat, great pitch and really great materials. That was his first sentence.
Oh yeah, Caroline, I'm so happy to hear. I didn't know that till just now. That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
How did that? So I'm gonna interrupt you a little bit. So I would take two things. First, tell me first, what was it like to hear that in that email response from him?
It felt really good. It felt like my email was read. It felt like I was heard. I was seen, because, after you click send 1,500 times or however many times, you start, the email itself starts becoming impersonal because it's by rote, and you're doing it a million times, and it almost becomes, it's marketing in a way. But this reminded me that email really came from a personal place. I really felt like I was pitching myself in the most authentic to myself as I could be without trying to sell myself too hard. And it felt read. Like, I felt like he actually took the time to get to know me a little bit and look at my stuff. And so it felt validating. And I use that word cautiously, because I think we do throw it around a lot. But it did feel like, for the first time in a long time, that I was seen. And then the meeting happened, and then I really felt seen, because then I could really put everything out there for this guy to hear. So it was really, really nice.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about that meeting and what it was like when you first, so your meeting happened on Zoom, is that right?
Yep. It actually happened in this exact frame.
Right.
Because I didn't want to make it too busy.
Okay.
but my hair was better.
If you're not watching, you're just listening. Caroline has on some really cute yellow hoop dangle earrings. Is that what you call like fringe dangle earrings?
Like, yeah, they're like boho, whatever.
Yes, they're super cute. But she did not wear them for the manager because they were going to make her do. But also her setup is super cute. There's a plant in the background. Like she looks like, oh, you go online and you have a beautiful, like, I'm ready to sign her. Right? Yes, it's curated. Okay. So you had your meeting.
Brian, the meeting was fantastic. And I think, I really think that sort of sealed the deal for both of us. It was the first time that I did not feel nervous. Like, I even feel like nervous right now, like, to be completely honest, like I have butterflies in my stomach, like talking about my experience. But for whatever reason with this guy, I felt free to be myself. I put it all on the line. I wasn't just an actor, because I want to be a creator and writer and create a show, like be a showrunner and like be in my own stuff and act. And I felt like I could say all of that without pigeonholing myself into only one category. And he heard me. Like the meeting ended up being an hour. Like I thought it was going to be 20 minutes, but it was an hour-long meeting. So we just chatted about everything. He's also coincidentally from my home state in Massachusetts. Okay. So literally an hour away from my hometown. So like that helped.
You had that going on. So if we're going to make this about you for a second, let's get really selfish and really think, how did you show up to the meeting that you think it made you so, or how did you prepare so that you were so available in that meeting?
This might sound a little bit cynical.
Go for it.
It came from a fuck it place. I've been through this before. I have been trying to get I've had representation on and off since I graduated college. It's been, 10-ish years that I've always had a struggle with representation, which is why I took this class. And at this point, I've had to forge my own path without representation, at least consistently being there. And I've gotten a lot done. Like, to be completely frank, opportunity is born out of necessity, I believe is the expression. And without an agent submitting me or rep submitting me for auditions, I've had to literally create my own work, my own short films, collaborate with people, be in a writer's group, literally do everything on my own. So when you're starting from the bottom, there's no further down you can go. And, that might seem a little negative, but I honestly approached the meeting with like, I don't care how this goes, because things are going fine for me right now. I have a writing partner. We have I already had irons in the fire, that this would only add. And to me, it was like, you can join my team. Like, I have this going on and I would love for you to come and join me. Otherwise, thanks, but I'm good. Rather than like needing him to like me. I really genuinely did not feel that for the first time in a long time.
Oh, that's so good. And what I'm hearing you say, and I pick this apart a little bit more, is you had a very full creative life, and it held what would normally be the anxiety of needing something. Like, you were putting yourself out creatively in all these. You said you're at the bottom, and your description of the bottom is, I'm making this and I'm making that. And I was like, oh, so the bottom is like maybe the validation word, which we're so scared to say out loud, isn't showing up as much, but you're really actually having a full creative life at the same time. Can you connect this to anything of what you did in the course in any way? Did any piece of that connect to this for you, or the questions he asked, or any of that for yourself?
I think so. Part of what I really thought worked for me in the course was this idea of distilling the best of you, and putting that on blast for these people.
Well, what was that like for you to think about that? So when you talk about distilling the best of you, can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean when you say that?
I mean, looking at my life and my creative life and how I got to this place, and seeing what has allowed me to shine, what has given me joy, what makes me feel good in this creative medium, and picking that apart. Like, what about those experiences in my life, starting from when, you know, we talked about what was your first experience with acting? Like, when was that moment in your life where you knew this is a path you wanted to take? And sort of following that innocence to today. Shoot, where was this going? What was your...
Well, first of all, I want to say you're doing such a great job describing this. And I'm going to distill a little bit of what you said, and you tell me if I get some of it, because what I'm hearing you say is, something about the course made you go back and say, I created this, I made this, these good things have happened. And how did I make them happen? Where did I show up to meet the universe and shake its hand and say, yes, I can create this thing, or I can make this thing, and taking stock of that? Because what I hear you saying finally at this meeting is like, I have all this going on. Do you want to be a part of this? Because this is like, there's some part, like all of Caroline was in that room, even though it was a Zoom room. Like, there wasn't a part of you were leaving out of the room. You sound integrated is the best way for me to describe that. Does that sound like the feeling you had?
Definitely.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah. And I think it was also coming to terms with knowing what I want to do. What do I want to do in this career? I think there was a lot of sort of, shame is the wrong word, but like, if acting is not the one and only thing that I want to do, then I'm not a real actor. Like, the idea of like also wanting to write and, you know, be part of a greater collaborative system and process makes you less of an actor. I thought that for a long time. And I was extremely resistant to the idea of creating my own work. Which is funny, because thinking back, I went to the Atlantic acting school, and their whole mantra is create your own work, like create your own theater company and like create your own work. But I was like, no, I'm an actor, and like actors only act. But it's like,
yes.
What? In order to act, you have to be cast and shit. And if you're not getting those opportunities to act, then you just sit at home and, you know.
That is one of the most painful lies I think actors are told, is you can only act if you want to be an actor. Don't do anything else. And if you do anything else, you're taking away. It actually is like, you're actually taking away from your acting career if you choose to do anything else, which is the part that is such an unfair myth or lie, right? Now, when that's going on, I'd be like, obviously you're still going to be acting. Like, you better be going to class and taking care of that part of yourself, is what right? Because I think it becomes this excuse. And I use that word lightly because I don't think that word feels good when you hear the word excuse, but it can be this like excuse for, I'm actually not putting in the time on my acting stuff in this, right?
Definitely. Yeah. So I a lot of this time was sort of realizing and confirming that that's not the only space I want to play in. That's not the only sandbox I want to play in.
I love it. Love that.
And so one, you know, this a few years ago, it really kicked in for me, and it was at a pretty low point. I was having a really hard time, and finally decided to write something. And I wrote it only with the goal of proving to myself I could finish something. That was the only like goal measure I had, and everything else that happened after that was just bonus. So I mean, I know this isn't really what you asked me, but if I had to give any advice to anyone, it is start writing now. Like, just write your own material. Even if you are getting acting opportunities, just write on the side, because creating your own opportunities, unless you're Steven Spielberg's daughter, is the only way. It's the only way.
I love it. That's what my mom basically said that to me when I was an actor. My mom was like, "Are you sure you want to go to acting school? I think only famous people's kids can be their lives as actors." I remember she said that. She was not saying it from like, you can't go, or she's not just, she was just worried about me.
So were my parents.
Right. For sure. We have the responsible East Coast kind of parents, right? So in talking about this, what I love that you're talking about, Caroline, which we haven't spoken to anyone talking about this yet, is I wasn't just wanting to be seen as an actor. I was wanting to be seen as someone who was making things, making her own stuff, had a point of view around the world, didn't want to necessarily, and this probably was a fight inside of you is you didn't necessarily want to end up with representation who didn't see the rest of you. It would have been a bad match if someone was like, you're just going to be an actor now.
Exactly. Because then it would make me feel like afraid to bring up anything, to bring anything like, hey, this short that I did last year got into X, Y, and Z festivals. Like, do you care? Like, do you want to see the link? Like, do you want to come? Like, it would make me trepidatious about approaching them with any other thing creatively outside of just like, oh, I'm going in for this co-star audition. And that's for me why finding a manager this time around was a little bit more of a big deal than an agent. I'm still on my agent journey.
Okay.
But a manager, I think, is better suited to sort of see the greater scope of my.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I want to kudos to you. I think I want to kudos to you first, also for going about this in a way where that manager could see that about you before you came to sit across from him. Because part of what I'm hearing you say is the woman who couldn't even work with you saw something from that email. And then when you came to see, and already felt like he knew you by the time he sat down in front of you is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It was also like right place, right time sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because this manager he just started at this company at the start of COVID, and he comes from a management background, but he's building his roster. So
right.
it was a good time to submit, even though
no one would say that. Yeah.
Like a lot of people are like leaving companies and starting their own. We've seen that with a lot of the furloughs and the layoffs of like the big agencies, and now a lot of them are creating their own. So it's actually maybe not a bad time to.
Well, and I also think what you just said is so important. I think a lot of big companies are letting go of people, are having to close down parts of their business. And then, so there's a lot of young and hungry out there who are like, I still want to be a manager. So they're starting their own. And so that scrappiness might be so where we might have in the past had a skeptical point of view around a young manager agent. I think right now you might be able to like turn that part of you off, because actually they're really having to, those are the people who are more available and more likely right now to be able to take some people on too, I think. Definitely,
for sure. Yeah.
And so if you, go ahead. No.
Well, I was going to say, when I had this meeting with this guy, I was vocal about like, and I'm also a writer creator. And he was like, oh, that's awesome. I probably wouldn't be the main point person, but luckily this is it's also a literary management company. So they would bring on somebody.
You got the whole enchilada, Caroline. Yeah. I mean, that's so good. Yeah. So if you had to identify one part of Agent Goals that like helped you the most in this whole thing, what would that be?
I would say two things, to sort of piggyback off what I was saying before. It really helps you look in the mirror, and it helped me look in the mirror and sort of confirm these like floating like perceptions of myself that I've had, and really through analyzing and looking at past experiences and like really like critically looking at what is my place, what do I like to do, what makes me feel good, what's that emotional response. It really honed in, what do I want to do, which is, I think, very critical in approaching how to talk to an agent and manager, because if they ask you that question and you don't know, then that's a problem.
Well, and let's also be real, Caroline, before you'd done that, I'm sure there were times in the past when you'd meet with an agent or a manager and they'd be like, I'm really into you. And you'd be like, great, I should probably just sign with you because at least I got someone who say yes at this point.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But like really they might see you as, purely drama, like Handmaid's Tale, like, dying on a beach in Normandy. When like you are more suited for like Broad City, which is like my dream. But
yes. My dream for you too. Just so you know, my dream for you, like you are perfect for Broad City. Like the Caroline Bloom's Broad City, her version.
Oh, yeah. I like manifest it. And Alana, she went to NYU and like we have friends in common, but I've never met her. And I'm like, I'm so obsessed with her. It's bad. It's bad. But, and then the other thing is, more technical. The methodology that your course provided, I thought that was really, really good, because it would be easy to fall off your own schedule if you were just doing this on your own, which I've tried. But I think using the various marketing methods, that was really, really helpful. Like knowing when to follow up and the sort of the calendar of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hearing you say like the accountability piece of like, this needs to be done by this point, then this be done. That piece kind of helped you.
But like at the same time, also stressing like wherever you are is fine, because there are no answers in this effing industry. There's literally zero answers, but like this is an option, and this option worked for me.
Yeah. And Caroline, what I'm hearing you say is, you know actors, as do I, who will make like, okay, I got all my energy together. I'm going to do a couple of emails out into the world for agents. And then the silence deafens them, or they get totally turned off. And then it's like 6 more months before you can get it up again because you felt so injured by that first time. And what I'm hearing you kind of say is that this it forces you kind of to push the boat out. You can't actually just be like, I'm going to tiptoe in here, because it's bigger than that, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, because you've done all this prior work to get to the point of emailing, it would feel half-assed to not go through it all, like to jump ship like halfway through, and or whenever. It made me feel like, okay, like I've gotten this far and I really feel confident in this, in how I feel about myself, what I've gotten on the email, like let's go through with it. And so having this accountability with you, and then with the really supportive network of everybody, it was just like a good team effort.
Right. Thanks for saying. I have to say, because what I'll say is, one of the things that I am not a person who does well in a class that isn't really structured. Like I will hate the teacher kind of. I'll like be mad at them the whole time if that's not structured. And so what you're speaking to is my inner student at the same time you're talking to the person who taught the course. Like I needed to be buttoned up, tell me when to do it and by when. And also I would have I'm the student who would have needed to be wrestled into the first assignment, to like the really introspective first assignment. And what you saw in the course is anyone who didn't actually go there has a much harder time with what happens next in the course, which is what I think is so beautiful what you described. Because you're not a person who doesn't look at herself. You look in the mirror on your own. You didn't need me just to hold up a mirror, but it was the timing of it, the way that we did it, the way that kind of gave you structure for that led to the reaching out.
Yeah. I'm totally like you. Like I need that sort of structure. I'm same with like gym classes. Like, that's partially why this quarantine's been so hard, is I haven't been able to take my like dance and gym classes, and like I need somebody to be like, what?
Now you have 30 seconds. Great. Yes. So you may have already answered this question, but you tell me if there's more. What did you learn about yourself during this process?
I learned that I have more going on than I think I've given myself credit for.
Not easy to admit. I saw that. That was hard for you to admit.
Yeah. I'm so horrifically critical of myself. It's like not even funny. I mean, that's for another time and place, but it's hard to, like, even right now, it's hard to talk about wins. It's hard to talk about success, because I think maybe it's because I'm so used to, or I've been so used to rejection and like the pain of not feeling seen, that it's almost like more comfortable for me.
Sure. To be a little sad, to be a little put out by it, to be a little hurt by it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I need to get over that. Like I think this has helped me gain confidence in a very crucial way, because I think, every actor, you do need to have a little bit of an ego. Vulnerability is obviously, like, you need that for acting, but I think to like push through all the silence, as you were saying, it's just made me care less, which is, it's made me care less about the outcome. So I'm so happy that this has happened, and I feel like awesome. Like what I've got, now I have somebody on my team who's like saying my name around town, which is one more person saying my name around town than anyone.
Than you by yourself, or or people you're making opportunities with. Yes.
But yeah, so I guess I've learned that, or starting.
Still learning? Yeah.
Still learning.
What I'm hearing you say, Caroline, and you tell me if I get this right, is I learned to relate to the part of myself that says you're not doing enough, or you haven't accomplished enough, differently. I'm starting to relate to that part of myself a little differently. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think that coupled with the state of our world, like a pandemic, you know, we have this very capitalistic notion of productivity all the time. And I know you've talked about this in the course too, but like needing to feel productive 100% of the time. There's even like this article, I think a child psychologist published this article about that. It was so good. I can send it to you.
I love it. Send it to us.
Yeah. But just sort of taking a step back in this time and being okay with where you're at. It's okay to be where you're at. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And just like letting a sigh of relief there, because the industry is not going anywhere. You're going to find somebody when it's meant to happen. And like, it's not the end all be all. That's the biggest thing too. Agents and managers, yes, you want them saying your name around town, but they don't know all the answers. They really don't. Like, a lot of them don't even know like when their clients' shows are going to pick up again. It's a step in the right, another direction, but it's not the end all be all. And that actually might be the biggest lesson.
Well, I love that. I mean, it's so weird for me to say. My dream is that that's a lesson you learn in my program called Agent Goals. That agents and managers don't matter, right? No, but what I'm actually hearing you say is they're a part of my journey. They are not the journey. They are, right?
Yeah.
Because you and I both know if you really want to make an impact in the world and be in the kind of shows or TV shows or films that actually get seen by a lot of people and have a bigger impact, an agent or manager is usually helpful to get you into those kind of rooms, right? And so that's where that dichotomy happens between your purpose and your calling, and like saying, yes, and I want to make a bigger impact. Like that's one of the doors that can, so it's one of the things that help you. And I love that it sounds like that's one of the reasons you're able to show up in that meeting so powerfully.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but you know what? I struggle with that. I really do. I struggle with like on some days feeling like what I just said and screw it. Like I really don't care. But then other days where I'm like, I see it's an actor. Oh, this is so stupid. I'll see somebody on a show and I'll be like, why didn't I get an audition for that? Like, why couldn't I have had that 2-part audition for whatever?
Sure.
And then it cycles out where it's like, well, I didn't have an agent submitting me for that. So blah, blah, blah. But I just, have to remind myself that may or may not have made my career anyway, had I gotten that far.
Right. I mean, comparison's always going to come up like that. And comparison's a thief of happiness. I'm sure you've heard that quote before, right? But it's such a sneaky thief. They have the best disguise. It sneaks right into your house so quietly.
Oh, it does. It's
right?
Very good.
It doesn't come in loudly. Comparison doesn't come in loud. It comes in and, oh, wait. And it can become self-hate. Comparison can become a form of self-hate, I think.
That's
and so I want to just normalize like that wrestling. And also, Caroline, as you continue to get big in your career, you're going to find different comparison things coming up for you. And as you continue to have reps who are maybe sending you out for bigger things. So I always like to think of comparison. The first thing that I do, if this is helpful for anybody who's listening, is to throw love at the person who's waking up comparison for you. It's like the weirdest experience to do, but you're like, I love them so much. This is why I love them. And just like slap yourself into that. It's like my ice bucket challenge for comparison.
Ooh, that's cool.
So what do you love about them? Yeah.
It's like a riff off of like Kill 'Em with Kindness, but it's more like absorb it with love.
Well, yes, absorb it with love. Because then I think when you find a way to love them, so you're not in enemy mode with them, you can figure out a way to say, what is it about what they're doing that I'm really interested? What is it waking me up to? And I know that makes it a little safer to be with comparison, I think.
I completely agree.
So one of the things that
practicing gratitude, like,
yes. And then that's one of the things we talk about in the course, right? You can never, until you will not believe you're enough, and you'll never believe you are enough until you're practicing gratitude. You will never believe there's enough for you and for others until you're in a state of gratitude. And then that's one of the thoughts I think that we really try to kill in that course, which is scarcity. And I think that scarcity is such an easy one for an actor to grab because there's so many actors and right? And I don't think that the universe is looking down on you going, well, you really shouldn't have chosen being an actor. Like you really made a mistake there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I used to think this is part of my like Caroline the skeptic thing.
Yeah.
But I used to really think that even saying phrases like, you just have to practice gratitude, like saying things like that, like I sort of made fun of it a little bit.
Sure.
But through therapy, which I also recommend to every actor, it honestly helps a lot to like practice gratitude. Like rather than say, but what about that? You say to yourself, well, what do I already have? Like I have this video game that I just did that dropped, and I have an amazing writing partner with whom I'm creating a cool, funny feature, and like shorts on the festival circuit, and you know, a really nice apartment. And like rather than focusing on what you don't have, replenishing yourself with what you do. And it sounds easy, but it honestly helps, and that's why so many people say it.
Right. And I think it's one of the things that, you know, in the course, the reason why we had to push that is because you're with class with other people who, like Caroline, you're one of the first people who implemented there's quite a few people who implemented the entire thing. And you're one of the people who's implemented it now. So I'm ready for our next call, where people are going to say things like, I'm behind because Caroline already got her manager. Right. And so it is so not that story. And so I was thinking about when we go to our next call, how I want to be able to start by saying, and so we're all going to come back to the fact that we're all on our own timing and it's okay. And by imagining that Caroline got the manager you were supposed to have, I'm putting in quotes, you are buying into a scarcity mindset. So you're not ready to send your email. So let's go back into the process and find out where we need to unpack that, right? Because it's just going to send it with the wrong energy. You're going to send it with energy.
100%.
So I love what you said about being a skeptic, because I think those are and this will be kind of like I'll wrap this up here. But one of the things that being a skeptic is one of the interesting ways to learn, right? You kind of like have a eyebrow raise whenever the teacher says anything, and you're like, we'll see. But it's one of the ways that we learn, by pushing through that kind of almost a resistance dance a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure there's a lot of actors out here who are watching or will watch this, who are sit in that kind of place of, but it won't work for me, or I don't really believe him, or that kind of, which I'm fine saying that because I believe in that way of learning. What would you say to that person who might be considering agent goals? Picture a real friend. I bet you have a friend who is this person.
Yeah. I would be really real with them and say, honestly, it might not work for you. Like, it honestly might not work for you, because I mean, you can't guarantee anything, especially in this industry. So it's sort of like take what you want from it, in the same way that I've done from acting school. You know, a lot of things that were taught to us in acting school were sort of garbage, and I don't believe in everything that they said, but like, you take what works for you and you use it to your best advantage. And there's always something to learn. I mean, this course is really jam-packed with a lot of material and a lot of self-reflection exercises. And it's, if you want to take the time, you will get something out of it, because it's all coming from your heart and your mind. And so, you know, I think I'm a skeptic because I come from a very, you know, like, my dad is like the biggest cynic and
love it,
and hates religion, and I'm also, you know, but I'm my knee-jerk reaction to, like, you know, big group classes with one teacher and stuff like that, I tend to be like, okay, but you know, but again, this was such an open-minded and plentiful array of tools and exercises that you take what you want from it, that I really do think, even if you don't necessarily get the exact outcome that you wanted at the beginning, you will get something out of it. I wouldn't say in life, stop being a skeptic. I mean, I think it's important to question everything around you all the time. Don't just be in groupthink, and just because 15 people say yes to something, that means you should. Yeah. I really believe that. But I would also say, like, be open-mindedly skeptical.
I love that. I love the way you said it. And I love what you said too. It's so important what you said is, I cannot guarantee anyone will get manager agent. That'd be slimy, sleazy, something that I never want to say to someone, right? what you just said is, no matter, there was a part of me that said, I just want everyone in this class to be experts at how to get agents by the time they finish this, which is different than I need everyone to get an agent, right? It's a very different, because like, I want you to know that mindset, that strategy, that system. And to be clear, every single person who's implemented it has gotten a manager agent who's done. So fingers crossed, we keep our track record is going really well. I'm going to talk about it as long as I can. But that's over 450 actors at this point, right? So that's pretty good odds. But what I love that you're saying is, and if you move at a different pace, if you don't implement it all the way, if you show up, if you put yourself in the open-mindedly skeptical way that you're talking about, there's no way that you can't walk away with something, which is what, my goal at the end of the day is that you, like you said, relate to yourself differently and relate to freaking managers and agents differently. What you said was the big learning you had. Yeah. That they're not the end all be all. They're part of the journey. That isn't to diminish them. That is not to diminish them, because there can be a huge part of what becomes your artistic life if you have the great relationship we hope that you have with them. But we do not want to think of them as what happens. I find so many actors who are just blinders on, reps. And they're the,
Yeah. I was like that. I honestly, and that's probably what hindered me for so long, was like, I was so obsessed and I spent so much money, Brian. I would I would do these workshops all the time, but it, like without like a focus, like this was nice because there was like a focus, and the focus was yourself and your goals. But the focus back then when I was doing it was just like, I just need I just need an agent. Anyway.
Someone like me. It always feels a little bit like a Miss America pageant or something to me. Like, pick me, just pick me. Someone just pick me. It doesn't feel, like you said, empowered the way that you describe it.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. Right. Maybe, I guess it needed to take this long, but,
Yeah, I know that part. Oh, I know that part. Sure. We don't want it to take this long. So there's something, what I love that you're saying though about this is, again, like, it's going to come when it comes at the right time. You said that before. So yeah. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And really, I just want to thank you for your searing honesty throughout this process, because other people are listening and they're seeing themselves in you and they're saying like, yeah, but I don't know. And I don't, that they can have that open-mindedly skeptical point of view. And they might feel like, like, I don't believe anyone who promises something, right? I feel like your answer at the end of this interview was like the answer that Caroline had to give. Like, this is the USP of the answer. That's something that happens, right? Is that we were going to arrive at, it's going to do something great for you, whether or not you get a manager agent. Also, it works, right? So, right.
Yes, it works for me.
Right, like the paradox of it all. So I just want to thank you for being really honest about your journey, and especially for bringing into this conversation. This is a tough business. And the relationship isn't always with the business. It's also with yourself at home, when you're at home and not doing the business where the toughness happens, and for your openness to talk about that and your mental health and seeing a therapist and all that. And I think that's such an important piece of why the course is the way it is, why I do this work, and why we do this work as actors, is to make us all become more human. So really appreciate you showing up that way today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for allowing me the space to be honest. I think it's oftentimes pressure filled to like be only like shining, glowing, like testimonial, like talking testimonial, but like thanks for allowing me to speak honestly, and that's thanks to your openness. And
sure. Oh my God. I don't want anyone in this course who's not meant to be there. So I want you to see, like, I don't want to have the student who is unhappy. I want the student who's into the course at least, right? And what's next for you, Caroline? What do we need to know that's up next for you? Do you have any ideas of what's next for you?
What's next is the last short that I made last fall is premiering at Charlotte Film Festival and Film Quest. It's a genre film fest in Utah. And so we'll be premiering this short, Dark.
Oh my gosh.
There.
Premiering it. How exciting.
Yeah, I'm really, that's also had its own journey, the film festival stuff. And this trailer, I'm in a big video game for Medal of Honor. They just dropped the trailer.
It's a huge video game. Even I know that, and I don't play video games. Yes, yes.
Oh my God, it's for Oculus only.
My boyfriend just bought one like a week ago.
Oh my God.
That's so weird. Kismet. I have to watch it apparently. Okay.
Oh, well, cool. I play a French resistance leader during World War II.
Oh my God. Amazing.
So I'll send you the trailer and your boyfriend and
yes,
order the game. I think it comes out in the holidays. And then like the most exciting for me personally is this feature I've been working on with my writing partner, Stephanie Drake, who's, if you watched Mad Men, she plays Don Draper's secretary in the last 2 seasons.
Oh, cool.
Awesome and hilarious, and we complement each other really well. So we're taking our feature out through her management company. Hopefully we'll have.
Oh my gosh, we are sending you such good juju for fabulous pitches and stuff. Awesome. If anyone wants to follow you anywhere, is there an Instagram handle or anything we should share?
Yes, at Caroline Bloom, one word, on Instagram, and then Twitter is Caroline_Bloom.
Great. Thank you so much today, Caroline. I know I'll see you soon, but I'm just so grateful for this time with you and for sharing your experience inside here.
Okay? Likewise. Thanks, Brian.
And thanks for the earrings, because the earrings really did a lot for me. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.